Hi again, I'm Bonnie Graves and I'm still here with Claiborne and Churchill Tasting Room, and now we're getting to the good stuff. We were in the barrel room tasting some samples and chatting with Clay about the history of this wonderful winery, but now we're going to do some homework. We're going to do some tasting, and I'm very happy to be tasting wine today with Fredericka, the lovely wife of Clay and his daughter Elizabeth. So thank you so much for welcoming me. And what are we tasting?
Thank you for coming.
This is the hard part, working hard, hardly working.
Actually, we have two of our dry whites, which are kind of our specialty. We are unfortunately out of our Gewürztraminer at the moment until July, but we have our dry Riesling and our dry Muscat, and then a blend that we've made for 30 years called Edelzwicker. And it's a blend of the noble grapes that they also grow in Alsace. So we'll pour you some of that.
Sounds good.
We also have our dry rosé to try, Pinot Noir dry rosé, and two reds and a dessert wine. So
I got my work cut out for me here. All right, I might go a little bit fast here. So we were talking with Clay a little bit about what is the definition of a dry wine, and it's fascinating to me how many people, and maybe you tell me if you experience this in the tasting room, or if people are kind of becoming more sophisticated, where they come in and they say, well, if it's Riesling, it must be sweet. I only like sweet wine. Is that a question that you have to deal with a lot?
Very often. I mean, we've actually dealt with it for 30 years, so we have plenty of explanations for people. Generally, the absence of sugar is what dry means, but a lot of people confuse fruitiness with sweetness, because very often in some wines they may have had earlier in their lives when they were first starting out wine tasting, the two went together. But of course we model our wines on the Alsatian style, so those are fruity but dry. We ferment them all the way to the end.
Which I think is beautiful, and Clay was telling us a little bit about, I mean, you can't get much drier than that, and yet it has that really opulent kind of aromas in the nose, so that's what I think confuses people, is their nose says, wow, it's got these beautiful kind of ripe stone fruit flavors and things, but then you get it in your mouth and you're like, oh, that's not sticky sweet. In fact, it's got great acid, and actually now I think I need to eat something, which is kind of the goal of that style of
these wines.
winemaking.
Yeah, they are really food friendly.
Yeah.
They pair well with a lot of things, especially sort of seafood kinds of things.
Yeah, and I think anything shellfish based, etc. Let's talk a little bit about Muscat too, because this is like the grape on the rise. It's Moscato d'Asti. I've read a statistic recently about the number of acreage that's being given over to. It's kind of like the next hip grape. For whatever reason, people are kind of discovering it. Muscat, I think, is another one too, where the assumption is it's going to be really, really sweet, and yet when it's fermented dry, you get those beautiful sort of, like, for me, it's always about orange blossoms. Beautiful kind of, just floral, but floral citrus, and then that crisp finish.
Yeah, so this is actually our dry Muscat, the 2010, and it is, in fact, just a wee bit sweeter than the others, and a little sweeter than the previous vintage maybe, but it's full of perfumes and really lovely, but it has for a Muscat, a drier finish, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I have the Edelzwicker too.
We should try that.
The Riesling, Gewürztraminer, and Pinot Gris.
While we're tasting this too, let's talk about Screwtops just real fast. I think that's another perception that I hope is changing with consumers. The idea, I mean, it really depends on the quality of the juice before you put it in any container, right? No matter what's the juice, but that perception that if it's Screwtop, it must be a cheap wine from the grocery store. And yet, if you really, particularly for whites of this style, and if you're really concerned about cork taint, cork is traditional, but it sure isn't very secure. So for me, for years, I've been preaching the gospel of, Screwtop is the way to go.
Well, we definitely think so. I mean, after, it took us a while, really, maybe 27 years or so, to decide that we would change to the Stelven closures, but we have found it to be so nice, so convenient for people, and it makes a better seal, really, than cork.
That's what I tell people. It's more hermetic, and it's not just that. It's convenient for a picnic and better for the wine. But it's changing people's perceptions on that I've found has been really difficult.
In a way, that's true. Yeah, we found when we were traveling in New Zealand and Australia that was definitely the wave of the future. Even the red wines, the Pinot Noirs, were
most high-end Pinot out of New Zealand is definitely Stelven these days, which is amazing. I know you have a background in German language and literature, so this blend from Alsace is kind of one of the noble blends. So help me with my pronunciation.
Edelzwicker.
Edelzwicker.
Yeah, edel means
I'm
noble.
much better with my French than I am with my German.
Well, that's good.
Edelzwicker.
Edelzwicker, yeah. It's just a blend of the grapes that they consider noble in Alsace. So that would be Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris, and Muscat. So in this case, in this case we have, I think, three of
We
the
have
4.
3, yeah.
Boy, it smells
Sometimes
good. Some
we do
shot-
add the dry muscat in as well. So it's a good little
That's why it's a
summertime
winner.
blend.
Delicious.
Thank you.
It's a hit with our cellar club members. They know when it's coming out in the summer.
Tell me how much of that particular wine do you make?
Not very much.
Maybe 130.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Less than 150 cases.
Well, I tell people a lot in the wine business to understand the difference between big volume, and big volume doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it does mean
No.
big volume. Just like tiny production doesn't necessarily mean good.
Good,
But
you're
it does
right.
mean handcrafted.
That's
You
true.
know, it does mean that there's
It ought to be
more-
good.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you have a better chance of keeping track of every
Don't you
barrel
think?
when,
Don't you
when
think?
it's not a,
But I think
large
it's fun,
production.
and in the wine business, one of the things that I've really enjoyed over the years is being able to champion smaller production
Oh, that's
wines.
so nice.
To
Yeah.
be
Well, we
able to-
appreciate that, certainly.
Oh, beautiful label
Oh,
here
now
too.
this is our daughter's wine because
Yay.
in the 6th grade, this was her artwork that she
Ah, I
created
love
one summer.
Wow.
And we've been making this dry rosé Cuvée Elizabeth for 15 years, I think, really.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's also, it's a dry rosé of Pinot Noir. It has a little bit of Riesling in it, I believe, this year, right?
About 10%
Interesting.
Riesling and Gewürztraminer.
Interesting.
And actually this year 20% Grenache too.
Oh, cool.
So-
I love
Oh, I didn't
Grenache
even
based
know
rosé.
that. Oh.
Yeah, it's tasty blend. So, but it's different than our brut rosé, our sparkling brut rosé.
Right.
I didn't know you made bubbles, really.
We do. We only do it every other year. We just make
Really?
enough for the
Just for
winery,
fun,
and we almost
yeah.
never pour it, except Valentine's Day,
Save it for
New
yourself.
Year's Eve.
That's how I am with really good bubbles. This is a nice blend. I can smell the Grenache.
This is a fun summer wine. We just make enough, to release for the summer months, and then it's gone.
I can see why. That's a dangerous summertime sipper. You're
Yeah.
like, what? Bottle number 2? What happened to the first one? I blame my husband.
Yeah, we do take some home and keep it cold.
Great. Okay, and we'll do this is your classic Pinot blend. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the 2009. And fruit from Wolf and also Twin Creeks.
Now, Elizabeth, growing up, I know you've got the wine named after you, so we were chatting just before that you went away, finished school and went away and traveled, but now you're kind of back. And do you feel like growing up, your dad said, oh, she literally grew up in the winery. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Putting you on the spot now, because it means sometimes, I have a really dear friend who comes from a winemaking family in France, and she spent a lot of her career not wanting to work in the wine business, and yet it's kind of her calling. So it's really interesting how she's kind of come back around to that again.
Oh, is that right?
So did you drink Pinot Noir as a child? Should I be giving my kids Pinot?
With water, maybe. At dinner only.
Wine and water mixture, and the older I got, the less water.
Right in the sippy cup?
Well, not exactly that early.
I'm kidding, but people say to me, they're like, do you like, I'm like, no, I don't really let my kids drink alcohol. But
Well.
my daughter really enjoys putting her nose in and smelling,
Right, that's the most
aromas.
fun in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
But later on at dinner, the children kind of feel left out if they don't have
Yeah.
a similarly
It's a very,
colored
very
drink.
European thing to put, you put a little water in with them.
Right.
For sure. This is smelling good.
Yeah, a lot of actually Edna Valley families around here, the kids have come back. I know that
That's
at
true.
Kinsey, their daughters work in there, and Sausalito Canyon also, and Wolf. I mean, there's a bunch of tasting rooms. So it was
It's
a
kind
nice.
of an interesting time for the area in general.
It is.
I think that's one thing we've talked about quite a bit is the growing awareness of this as a wine destination in its own right. I think a lot of people.
It was a well-kept secret for a long
I
time.
know, but I think that's changing. I
Yeah,
think the
I hope
reality
so.
is that people are discovering this as that's part of what we're enjoying. And as we brought up several times, the connection of Pismo Beach and the kind of beach town, classic California feeling, and then amazing wines 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. You just don't get that in most parts of California. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
Right.
unique.
Yeah.
Cool. Now,
Yeah,
let
we
me-
get a lot of nice cool breezes from Pismo for the Pinot Noir. This valley is really known for.
yeah,
great
it's a
Pinot Noir
perfect
fruit
place
and-
for Pinot, that's for sure.
It is.
Tell me about this interesting label. This is the Clueless Red. I like this already.
Yes, this is my husband Claiborne's little passion besides wine. He decided to get into crossword puzzles a few years ago, and every day does at least 2 or 3 from the different major newspapers. And so then we decided it would be fun to have a crossword puzzle label. It would be the first interactive wine bottle,
love it,
wine
yeah.
label. And so every year we have a clueless red and a clueless white, and he creates a new crossword puzzle. And the clues are on our website because it's impossible to fit them all on the
super
label.
smart
So
marketing, too.
it's
How
called
fun.
Clueless.
Right.
And the first 10 people to solve the puzzle correctly win a prize every year.
Oh, so
They
fun.
submit their answers to us, and they get a magnum usually of that wine. So
Wow, very cool. Let's
It's
taste
fun.
this. And this is a blend of, let's see, a couple different grape varieties in here, right?
that's right. This is Syrah and Petit Syrah, right?
And a little Pinot Noir.
Oh, and a little
Okay.
Pinot as well.
This is the wine for my mom. She's whoops me on the New York Times Sunday
Oh,
crossword
does she?
in
Yeah.
ink. She's one that does it in
Yeah.
ink.
Yeah,
I've
my
got my
husband does
mechanical
that.
pencil. I know I'm dealing with somebody that's a lot smarter than I am. Named
They're
Mom.
serious.
Named Mom.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, every year it's a new puzzle and a new blend inside too. So it's kind of fun. We don't actually tell what's in the blend until it's been solved by those 10 people.
Yeah.
Because those are
Obviously.
answers on the crossword puzzle.
Super clever. I like that. It's a way of kind of engaging people's brains and their taste buds at the same time.
We have some Cellar Club members who get their bottle when it's first released, and then they call up their mom and they do the crossword puzzle over the phone together.
That's what I should be doing. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
Well, this is really a phenomenal lineup. Thank you guys so much for your
thank you.
hospitality and sharing your wines. So,
Thanks for coming.
folks, we're in the Edna Valley, 10 minutes from beautiful Pismo Beach, and we've been tasting wine today with Claiborne and Churchill. You should try these wines. They're amazing.